We've got Mbuemo Medical. We've got Marcus Rashford. Here we go on the way to Barcelona. And we've got our first preseason match in the books. Manchester United is back. And we are flying out of the blocks this summer. How are we feeling, sir? United, second player in, one player out, just about. And the boys are back in action in Sweden, 0-0 draw. But a good test of the upcoming Premier League season. How are we feeling? How are we doing?
Look, it was the debut for the new light purple away kit. Cunha looked great. He wrote on Instagram, it was great to wear the shirt. He looks like a hell of a player. Coming in on for a debut, the kit looks light. He was one of our best players. He's going to be a huge difference maker for Manchester United, but there's still a lot more to do. But like you said, the Mbuemo Medical is huge coming behind that. Now striker rumors. I feel like our summer just got started. Sir Jim enjoying a big summer break, but as long as we get business done at the end of the window, and back Amorim, give him tools for this squad, I think United could be in a good position to put our best foot forward against Arsenal come the opening of the English Premier League season.
We got to hang our hats on the fact that, kept a clean sheet yesterday. And like you said, the summer transfer window is really starting to heat up for Manchester United. I think it was Ratcliffe's little get-together in Iceland, a little bit of fishing trip, a little R&R, maybe just turn the heat up on the lads. So medical is done, apparently, for Mbeumo. He should be in the blocks, I think, officially tomorrow. He's gotten the number 19. That's an exciting one, the same number he wore at Brentford. Rashford finally making moves. He got his loan deal. Not what we wanted in terms of no sale price. We'll get into that in a little bit, but full loan coverage for his salary. And the boys are back in action. So let's hop right into that game, sir. Yesterday at the Strawberry Arena, formerly Friends Arena in Stockholm, Sweden. A lovely day for some football. July, Scandinavian summers, they go late, and wasn't the most memorable match, but United showed some things. Let's talk about players of note, sir. It was like, full-time subs for halftime, so players played 45 minutes, and then a whole new crop of players came in at halftime, and then some didn't even make it for the whole second half. But who's your notables? What stood out to you? Obviously, like you said, I think Matheus Cunha immediately showed his worth. We still had a lot of the same challenges we've seen from last season, but what are the high-level things that you're taking from this first 90 minutes in preseason?
Well, let's just go with the opening 90, starting 11. We had Bryan in net. We had De Ligt, Luke Shaw, Mazraoui center back pairing. De Ligt playing center there, centrally there. Diego Leon, left wing back. He gets the start. And then we had Chido Obi at number 9. Cunha and Koyer actually played at number 10 with Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes in the hole, and Ahmad at right wing back. So this is just a standard preseason 11. We don't need to get too worried about who's actually starting these games, but an interesting note that Koyer played at a number 10 role. He actually switched with Ahmad, so maybe Amorim's thinking that those two positions could be interchangeable when Mbeumo comes in. Ahmad and Mbeumo switching out there on the right-hand side could be interesting. But the manager, plain vanilla, that same back three, we're playing out the back the same way. We did struggle against Leeds early on with their press. That was not really fun to see us hoofing it long to no results. So United looking a little nervy, but we did grow into the game when we made those wholesale changes in the second half, and we got to see Cunha get on the ball and make some things happen.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway was Cunha looks like a huge upgrade, worth the money, 62.5 million pounds. But that Premier League proven talent, I think he's going to slot right in, won a couple good free kicks. And Leon, still very much not the finished article, but you could see why United went for him in the first place. He's a physical little unit at 18 years old. He held his own for large parts of the game. And I think it really was a game of two halves. We had, one little chance at the end. Cheeto had a nice run that was fed by Leon, but there wasn't much notable in that first half. You're getting into the stats in general. Second half, I like the back three. We can talk about the changes in a second, but it was nice, It was a run out. We didn't concede. We did start to. It felt like during parts of the game, especially at the end of the first half, we were edging out possession dominance, but I think that switched back because they were a little bit better in the second half, keeping Heaton busy. Unbelievable stuff from Tom Heaton at the elder age. MVP type performance from him yesterday in Stockholm.
Yeah, and so halftime, wholesale changes. I think the big change for me or the highlights were Heaven, Euro, Maguire coming in looking way more comfortable on the ball than De Ligt, Mazraoui, and Shaw. So I think that really changes the game. Obviously, Leeds had a bunch of changes as well from their end, but that really changed the game. And then Kobe Mainoo, who Amorim featured at 10, actually went into the pivot in the midfield, which I think is a good sign that he can feature there for Manchester United. Those are really the big takeaways. And then obviously we wanted to get a goal, almost had a goal. Mainoo had a great header opportunity off the bar, but it was just a preseason game. Everybody tuned up, getting fitness. Manager kind of harsh about the midfield play, which I think is fair, but we're talking about practice, sir. We say it every year on the podcast. I've seen a steamroll preseason, have horrible season. I've seen a struggle in preseason, have an amazing season. So as long as the manager is getting looks, the players are getting fitness, and we're watching football. We're not refreshing Twitter and trying to find those here we goes that aren't coming. We're actually watching football and watching a great player like Cunha make his debut. It's just something special, something we're really excited about, and obviously no injuries being a key one yesterday.
That is absolutely a key one. Although yesterday was rare. We're doing our live stream. You got to come check out the American Devils on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We were in the middle of it, and all of a sudden Fabrizio drops a "Here we go" about Marcus Rashford that we'll get into a little bit later. But I have to agree with the takeaway, sir. I thought that second half back three was really exciting and arguably my preferred back three, with Euro as the left most center back, Maguire as the anchor, and then Heaven on the right. Actually flipped it. Heaven was on the left, Euro was on the right, but a little bit of youth and a little bit of experience. And I thought the way that they matched up with Dogu, who came on in the second half and looked really, really strong, had a bunch of decent chances that he was involved with. That's exciting. And the most notable from the second half as well was Mbeumo. I thought Mbeumo's ability to kind of stretch play between the defense and the attack, which has been such a struggle for United for a while, especially last year under Amorim. He could be that player to do so, but it was a mixed bag, but there were positives and a couple negatives, but nothing too surprising.
Yeah, and one of the negatives I want to break down really quickly on a mini tactical board is the playing out the back. Now, Amorim, we know that he's stubborn, and when it comes to playing out the back, he prefers to have the left center back and right center back split the box here with Bryan. We saw Shaw and Mazraoui do it, and then De Ligt actually pushed up into the midfield, and Casemiro would kind of come down, creating this box to play it out. The problem is De Ligt and Casemiro are very static, and behind that we had the four of Leeds, and there were no options. So Bryan would get it to Shaw. Leon and Ahmad are staying high to create space, but that requires a Cunha to kind of drop in here. And I think he's looking for more rotation centrally, or maybe Bruno to drop out wide. We saw even Bruno drop deep between the midfielders to basically try to get something going. But when we're set up like this, Casemiro's not that quick. He's not comfortable receiving the ball in tight areas. De Ligt isn't either. So why would these two players be the players that you want to build out from the back to start? Obviously, it's preseason. I doubt we're going to see these two players doing this against Arsenal, but just something concerning where maybe you want to get a Bruno down here. Maybe you want to get a Leon deeper. I just kind of felt like the way that he's splitting this is kind of gunking things up. It required us to go long. We weren't connecting the midfield, and we struggled at this last season, and it seems to be he's doing the same thing again. So just one thing to keep your eye on when you see the center back coming into midfield. Is that the best way for us to start the build-up? Because you have De Ligt and Ugarte, it didn't work well. If you have De Ligt and Casemiro, it's not working well. And we have yet to find the combination of players as well as the left and right sided center backs who can handle that. Now with Maguire, Euro, and Heaven, it looked much better, but this system and the way we're setting up, we're having trouble playing around even a Leeds press, and they came out of the championship. So that could be something to watch, and Arsenal is going to be all over us come our opening day game.
No, it's very interesting, the juxtaposition you saw from this first half lineup, which we had a real trouble, obviously, playing out the back. Second half, I think a little bit better because that back three, there was more movement from them as well. And I think Kobe Manu's ability to kind of be all action, get the ball, turn it up the field, and connect with the attackers could be an unlock. You know, who does he play with? Does he play with Bruno Fernandes and the holding two? Is something to keep an eye on, but something that we have to figure out because, like you said, this manager's stubborn. He's not going to try and change his approach. The players, he's got to figure out the right puzzle pieces of players that are going to fit his starting 11 to get the most of the squad he has available. Speaking of which, sir, the squad is headed on more preseason games. We're headed to the United States of America on Tuesday.
USA, baby. Let's go.
First stop, it's a deviation from our previous European or U.S. tours. In the past, in the summer, we've usually preferred to go to the West Coast, train in California. Weather tends to be pretty mild in the summer, but that far of a distance and the 8-hour time zone between the UK, I think they finally realized how much of a disturbance that is for the players' adjustment coming back. So now they're doing an East Coast favored trip by and large. The farthest they're going is Chicago Central Time. So they'll start in Chicago, and then they're going to head to 2 games on the East Coast, New Jersey, and then I think they're going to Atlanta for the final game of the tour. So that makes sense. I think, reasonableness. It's a shorter tour than last year, almost 5,000 miles less. They're doing 1 game fewer. So that's exciting, and most importantly, we're going to talk about our new boy in a second, but an additional player is going to be there for the trip. to
Yeah,
United
it
States.
starts West Ham Saturday. The American Red Devils will be live streaming it 4 p.m. Pacific this Saturday. We'll be doing another live stream and a post-match breakdown. It's great to watch football. I mean, I feel like the best way to heal is to kind of start another preseason tour, sir. I'm feeling absolutely great about watching this team. And, you know, there's a lot to hope for. We got a lot of new players. And like you said, probably one of the next reasons that we're going to be excited to watch preseason is going to be this guy. We have Mbeumo. Done. Absolutely done and dusted medical. He's coming to join Manchester United in the great US of A. He showed up to Carrington looking dapper in a suit with his agent and everything. Sir, tell us, Bryan Mbeumo, how are we feeling about this deal? Huge for Manchester United.
We give it 5 booms. We're going to be doing boom, 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 boom for Bryan Mbeumo. It's a deal that became a saga. Luckily, it didn't drag all the way to the end of the transfer window, but this all of a sudden Thursday came to a head once we got the offer in, the third offer in. It's £65 million plus 6. That was agreed upon with 4 installments, and that got Brentford to concede. I think we went a little bit higher than even they had hoped for, because maybe the installment game they want to do 3. We ended up 4. We're going to see how many years it's actually spread over in the coming months. But either way, that's what it took to get the deal over the line. His medical was completed this weekend, and we have just found out that he is our new number 19 at Manchester United. So exciting news for Ruben Amorim. These were his 2 preferred targets that he wanted before any sales were done. He wanted Matheus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo, and he's gotten both. And I was shocked he would get both before they left for tour on Tuesday. So he's in. He looked fresh at Carrington, sir. I like that. He looked like Juan Mata coming off the fucking helicopter. Gray suit, white shirt, no tie.
Happy too.
Happy.
That's another player who's happy to be there, and another player he's gonna get the ball and do something with it. And Cunha, he got the ball, like trying to split players. It's just there's a certain type of dog that this team needs, and it ain't like these nervy players. Like watch us play out to get about the play it out the back against Leeds, and it's like come on. Like, let's act like you've been there before. Like, this is freaking practice. We're trying to do, like, show some bravery in practice. There's, like, nothing to lose. And to be shaky with, like, a championship Leeds press, it's like these types of guys are not going to let that fly. And the more dogs that we sign in this team where their shirt looks light and they're looking to do things, they're looking to run at people, and they're looking at taking it to teams, the better. And that's what United needs. We've been lacking that. And I feel like we got in spades in these first 2 signings. Great start. We still have other players other positions where the bluffing is high. Goalkeeper, that midfield looks a little shaky. I feel like we can strengthen, make some smart buys, some smart deals, and sell some bluffers as well, and really have a good window if we keep this up.
Yeah, they have some work to do on the sales side. That's really going to be, how much money we have to play with on the additional buys past Mbeumo. But the quality of signings that they've gotten with Cunha and Mbeumo are top rate in terms of like just what's available in the Premier League market. We paid fair asking price, but they are Premier League proven. He's got 20 goals, 5 penalties included, so 15 goals in the Premier League last season, in addition to Cunha's 15 goals in the Premier League. Also a high assist rate as well. Like you said, I think he's going to add a level of professionalism. No nonsense bullshit. We need to like kind of get off the weight of the past of some of these players that were there for the wrong reason, overinflated wages. Cunha and Mbeumo are all going to be on decent wages, but they came, I think, because they want to be part of bringing Manchester United back from the ashes, and he's the type of player that can do so. So look at his stats last season: 4th, obviously, in goals, 1st in expected assists, 1st in crosses attempt, 3rd in kilometers covered, and 3rd in sprints. So he's a high worker.
Sprints and distance covered. That's exactly what United needs. Hey, I think we got a player who's headed to Barcelona, doesn't really do too much running. Got one in that is going to run. Speaking of Barcelona.
Running to Barcelona. He's running to the airport, sir.
Marcus Rashford, Barcelona. Here we go. The deal that dropped during halftime of Manchester United's first preseason match. He's currently on the jet playing cards, landing in Spain, done, dusted, wages off the books. Marcus Rashford probably could be, hopefully, last time he's ever going to be
hopefully could be
at Carrington, and this is a good deal. United will save quite a bit of money here. Barcelona is going to pay him $14 million gross salary, but that was $18 million to United, so we save $18 million. If you think about it, that's like a 1-year installment for Bryan Mbeumo. Maybe that's why we were doing the deal and structuring it the way we were. Wheeling and dealing is what we need, and Marcus Rashford at Barcelona, getting his wages off the books is a win. It's not a home run. A home run would be 40. There are incentives here that could make it a home run. Regardless, it's a good start, and we needed to get him off the books, gain those wages. out is a huge deal, saves United millions of pounds.
No, it's real money. I mean, it's real money. It's the size of money that, like you said, 18 million pounds, give or take. That's the amount for this random goalkeeper that popped up in the last couple of days. That's his transfer fee. So it's real money, and it's meaningful money, and it's also done at a time that I was shocked. I thought this was going to drag late. I thought this could happen late August just because options would dry up. I figured Barcelona would go for somebody else and he'd be forced to go to Turkey or where else. But they got their man. I think some of the other targets went sideways, and they wrapped with a deal for Marcus Rashford. So the wages off the books, that is a huge thing, even for 1 year. That could almost buy you a player. He also took a little pay cut. I wish it was, of course, an obligation, even at the low fee. It's only 30 million euros is what we heard today in terms of the actual option to buy for Barcelona. 25 million pounds. It's low. But it's so low, you would think they'd want to get a deal done at the end of the season, next season. So hopefully he smashes it in Spain. I wish him all the best. We can use that money to finance the brighter future for Manchester United. So he got his deal. This is good. And those outgoings, we got one off the books. We got 3 more to take care of. But the first one's the hardest. That's what they say.
No, it's a huge win. And Marcus does take a pay cut to be there. He does have the buy option through June 2026. This is going where he's going to run down his contract. And if we want to be fans of Marcus Rashford at Barcelona, so then they re-up it again, and he ends his contract with United at Barcelona while we don't have to pay him any money. Regardless, I feel like we're bleeding out, and it's about just like getting this year done, getting the squad together this year. This is a huge win. You got to call it when it is a win, and honestly, wish him best so that we can resolve this and get him out. As far as the savings, it's quite a deal for United. 20 million pounds on the wage savings. It has an impact of almost 13 million pounds in 25-26 because of the way it's accounted for throughout the fiscal year. And it will be interesting to see what happens in the final year of his deal as well. So huge contracts. Manchester United probably won't do these anymore because of what it should show both Sancho and Rashford have been trying to manage. But, good on United for getting the deal done. And we wish Marcus Rashford we wish him well, honestly, because it's tough. Every time this comes up and he's headed out the door, everybody's celebrating, and there's a little part of me that just feels a little bad. It didn't work out with Marcus Rashford. But we have a lot of other players that we're being linked to, a lot of other deals that are happening. Striker is apparently next. There were some rumors today about Gyökeres, and good on Simon Stone to sort of throw cold water on that. It feels to me like there's some agent BS going on. You got to really check these stories. A lot of aggregators out there on socials just telling you Gyökeres back in for United. Sounds like we're being used as a pawn to get Arsenal to move, and that's the type of ugly stuff you need to avoid in a window. Simon Stone, we've given him a little guff in the past, being a mouthpiece for the Glazers, but he's coming out right and saying strong sense United being used in a political game, re Gyökeres, and that means most likely we are. And so if you hear anything about Gyökeres, wait for United side sources to validate, because they've yet to validate anything. And the Iberian Peninsula they like to talk, sir. They like to chirp over there, get things going with the agents.
I mean, this deal that, maybe United was involved with, maybe they weren't. Who knows? It's one of the messier deals I've seen from a football side in a long time. Just the amount of agent play and the way that Gyökeres' agent has played against Arsenal, plays against Sporting. I think he might smash it. He might absolutely crush in the north side of London. But at the same time, this feels like, a deal where if he came to United, it would absolutely go sideways. Like he would absolutely just turn into Højlund 2.0. So either way, the level of game in English football is only getting better. Like we're taking all the best prospects from all around Europe, and they're all getting stacked throughout England. So it's going to be good for the league. It's going to be good for Arsenal, but obviously he's not the player we're favoring. So there's other names, both domestic and abroad. And guess what? I'm going Manchester United approach this season, which is I want domestic. All Premier League proven. Big Ollie Watkins, that's the guy I want. And we'll see who we end up with, sir. I think Rashford out the door, and hopefully Sancho not soon after should help United, be willing to lean in and get some more deals done because we need them. Yeah,
and the other striker we've been linked to today coming out, Ben Jacobs, he's the mid-tier source saying Sesko's back on United's radar as a number 9 option. I mean, to say that we're on a radar, it's like, how is this kid not on your radar? He's one of the top young strikers in Europe, not really saying much. But look, Arsenal heating up with Gyökeres, Sesko odd man out. We talked about how the dominoes fall in a transfer window, and then people might be willing to do a deal late because they might feel this is the time to get the money, and United might be open to structuring something where we could get a Sesko in, where at the beginning of the window, the 100 million we're not budging no longer is the case. Nicholas Jackson, Ollie Watkins, names you discussed as well. Nicholas Jackson, young Chelsea striker, they threw out 100 million pounds on him. There's 100 million pounds on Sesko. Ollie Watkins, it was 60.
Like that.
And how many buyers of big strikers are there? I think it's just United at the moment. If you're looking, if Gyökeres does go, buyers kind of come off the table. The musical chairs kind of go away, and that provides leverage to United if there's bodies outstanding. And here, looking at this list, I got to say Ollie Watkins, like you said, there's rumors or low-tier smoke about Garnacho, really probably Garnacho agent side, that he would take a Villa deal. Villa has financial issues. Some are United. Could we somehow swap Garnacho for an Ollie Watkins? He's another solid player, high work rate, older though. The 60 million, I balk at that price, but I'm thinking the Ollie Watkins would be the way to go. High conversion rate, Jackson, low conversion rate, Sesko, no EPL experience, higher upside, higher risk. I feel like United, we just get burned in that profile. We need to kind of go with the known quantity in Ollie Watkins. Trusty old Ollie.
Trusty old Ollie. I like the name, and I like the profile as well. Like you said, the musical chairs have accelerated in the last 2 weeks. Gyökeres seems destined for Arsenal. Liverpool are picking up Ekitike. Obviously, Osimhen is staying in Turkey, it seems, and that only leaves a couple names left. But like you said, only a couple buyers left. I don't know how many other big clubs really need a striker after all those clubs I mentioned. So of the three, it's got to be Ollie Watkins, even though, like, from a business sense, you would think the best choice is Sesko because of the resale value, but sure thing. And there's never such a thing as a sure thing, but like his consistency in the Premier League has been excellent. He is going to be 30 this calendar year. That's something, but at the same time, you know, we need the sure thing. Fucking Ineos is fighting for their lives. So you would think that would be the move, especially if they can finagle Garnacho, kind of pseudo swap, play some like fun with accounting numbers, you know, so that they can do whatever about a bonus that they need. But this will be one to watch for Manchester United. They need a number 9, they need a goalie, and they need a 6. Who goes first? I think it might depend on, if Villa want to do a deal.
Yeah, and it's good to know that striker is the next priority, but we still have other positions and other priorities like goalkeeper. We're going to wrap up just some other transfer news here before we get into the Good Vibes John interview. Sir, you were talking about this young goalkeeper. This is heating up mid-tier level sources, nothing concrete coming out of United, but Romano did mention initial contact underway.
No, this popped up at the end of last week. Senne Lammens, young 23-year-old Belgian keeper, plays in the Belgian league for Royal Antwerp, and exactly the type of profile I think United is looking for. It's like, if you can't move out Onana, you can bring in a really good number 2 who can challenge him, hopefully bring out the best of Onana, or just push him to the side and he becomes the number 1 keeper. So we're hearing a transfer fee in the 17 million pounds range, which is exactly just about the amount of money we save by getting Marcus Rashford's wages off the books. He's got a very, very high save rate in the Belgian league, and he is one of the highest in terms of expected goals saved outperformance of any player in the top 10 leagues in European football. So looks a good profile. Probably isn't a immediate first-time starter, but like great challenge, huge upgrade on Bryan, and could go chomping at the spot that Onana's holding down right now. So I like the profile.
No, it's critical we get someone in because Onana does have AFCON as well, and he has this injury. So Bryan, we saw that.
There's all the chops.
Like, he had a great game against Arsenal, but he's the consistency. I think goalie is all about being consistent. And if you have one, if your number 1 is inconsistent, your number 2 is inconsistent, and your number 3 is like a locker room guy, you're in trouble.
Nothing all right, by the way.
Nothing against Tom Heaton, but we need a viable up-and-comer in that lineup as it relates to goalkeeper, because it's really hurt us. It's hurt us and it's cost us Europe, and that's millions of pounds. Looking at the bluffer lineup, we talked about the smoke around Garnacho that hasn't really, nothing concrete there, but Antony, out of nowhere, Atletico Madrid emerged. New favorites to sign. Antony, 30 million pound deal. Could they pay us money for a player? I would really appreciate that.
I mean, I think there's only three teams in Spain that actually have money to pay for real transfer fees. All right, obviously the Giants in Barcelona and Real Madrid, but Atletico Madrid are no minnow. You know, they spent real money on transfer. This feels actually like a perfect Atletico Madrid type player. You know, it's like he's a pretty high work rate. You can push him in defensively, and I think he would continue to thrive in Spain. So they have the cash. Why not 30 million? We'd take it. We could use that money. You could do a lot with that. I mean, shit, a little
Too
bit
good
more.
to be true.
You
Probably is.
Probably is. But he did. I mean, of all the players that we pushed out, he's the only one that really performed objectively. So there's value in Spain. You would think 30 million. It seems reasonable, but it could just be nonsense. But I want to hear it. Hear what I want to hear.
No, but we did hear Bayer Leverkusen. That never solidified. Batiste is kind of just waiting for that cheap loan deal.
Yep.
I feel like we got to get paid for one of them.
Yep.
Sancho, we're going to get like barely anything. Rashford, we're not getting anything up front. It's all bonuses. Between Antony and Garna, we got to get some sort of cash. Antony doesn't impact PSR because it's actually always going to be an L based on the upfront fees. Garnacho is really the one where we got to get something. And so any news is good news here on the outgoings, and that will spur on business from Ineos as far as it relates to the keeper and other positions. So keeping you apprised of all the news and rumors that we hear. And also we got to sift through what's real and what's not. And at the end of the day, some smoke turns into fire, and then other sources like, you could hear Tier 1 Yorkeresh and then it just goes cold because the parties are playing hardball, which we're seeing a lot this window. Sakou Kone, sir, you want to give us the latest here?
Well, United has been in training for a couple of weeks now, and there's been some findings, one of which is plans around Sakou Kone have changed. They were going to send him to the same Swiss-based club as that young striker we just signed, the 18-year-old.
Lausanne, right?
Yeah, Lausanne. But apparently, Ruben Amorim likes what he sees. The player has impressed him in preseason training. Now he's going to stick for now with the squad and look to come on the tour in the U.S. So he got a new number as well, moved down quite a bit. So this is an exciting development. He's a player that came in, needed time, physically wasn't there from a development perspective, but he's young. But he's kind of the profile that we want for a 6, high work rate, good passer of the ball. It's a good tackler, but obviously he still needs a lot of development. But either way, encouraging from Ruben Amorim that he's willing to lean on the youth headed into the summer, and something to keep an eye on for Sakou Kone.
Yeah, and this comes from Nathan Salt at the Mail, but he is a good source for U21 news for Manchester United. And Sakou Kone, I think he's a great player. Saw him in the postseason tour. LOL. Looked awesome. He just has a certain stature about him, and I feel like let's start getting him involved. The midfield, if we don't get that 6, if he's being told, hey, I don't know if we're going to be able to get like a Polinia or somebody in, and we're not being linked to him anymore, like Sakou Kone could be, like I like Menu, Sakou Kone being options there because Casemiro is just not going to be able to carry the minutes that this team requires. And if you could split it with a youngster and he kind of rises to the occasion, or Menu really takes on that role, which he did. He did it for England. I've seen him do it. So like, I believe Mano's the guy. The problem is the Bruno. If you have to put Bruno there, then it becomes a different job. I don't know if that is Manu's job, just that traditional 6. So it's going to be interesting. Who can play that profile? Are we going to stick with Bruno there? Lots of questions that I'm sure will be answered throughout this preseason, but this was an exciting development for a youngster in Sakou Kone.
No, indeed. And you know what? The experience of playing and training with a player like Casemiro, a player like Bruno Fernandes, that's just great experience for a youngster of his age as he kind of comes together as a player, playing with quite a bit of pedigree there. So Sakou Kone, a player to watch. The other developments that happened around a youngster that we all rate quite a bit is around Harry Amass. Harry Amass was left out of the squad that traveled to Sweden for the first preseason match of the season, or the preseason, because he will be going on loan. I think this is partly because Diego Leon impressed them. He obviously featured in the first half, started in the first half against Leeds in yesterday's match, and Harry Amass has probably been pushed down the depth chart. I think technically he's probably a little bit ahead of Leon, but Leon has him beat on physicality, and it seems to be like Ineos and Amorim are favoring physicality. Same with Dogu. It's like those are the players that are better suited for the Premier League. So Harry Amass hasn't happened yet, the loan, but apparently he is headed on loan in the next couple of weeks. So that's a player to watch because very, very talented, and all of a sudden we have like options the left wing back. But yeah, we'll see where he goes, hopefully somewhere in the championship.
Yeah, and this is a tough one for me because I think you have great young players at United ruin. Seeing Harry Amass go out on loan after kind of sitting down on the sideline, like Erik ten Hag probably should have got him involved a little more than he did. And last season as well, like we had Lindelof out there when Harry Amass, when he eventually went to him, actually looked and did well. So I feel like when people, maybe because of his stature or his physicality, write him off, but when he's given the opportunity, he usually excels. And then to have him go out on loan, get someone else in front of him when he was kind of probably knocking on the door of coming through a proper bench player for United, and then having us find out if he should maybe go on loan or move on. I feel like we never really answer the question with Harry Amass. A lot of chopping and changing. The manager that does that to the youth, as well as, putting Lindelof out there instead of him in certain situations, and then getting him there. He looked good towards the end of last season, did well in the postseason tour. He's a promising young player, but bringing in Lyon, putting him ahead of him, and then you're left with 3 young left wing backs. We have no real senior players. So I just feel like left wing back has kind of turned into a mess because of the front office. Why do you sign a Lyon when you have Harry Amass behind Dogu? Why do you sign Dogu if you want to get Lyon in or have a Harry Amass? Maybe we need a veteran left wing back there who can then teach the youngsters something. Instead, we have 3 youngsters and it's too crowded and you got to get one out. And oh, by the way, Luke Shaw could play there too. So I think left wing back turned into an issue because of the front office and mismanagement. But hey, we don't have the guy, so maybe it's just get guys until we have the guy. But I felt like this could have been done or handled in a better way, and maybe we could have got a fee for Harry Amass and a sell on or something like that. But the way we're doing it right now, we're not going to get that.
I mean, you prefer, he's only 18, just turned 18 in March. You prefer like this, which we haven't ruined quite yet, or Alvarez, right, who we sold for like 6 million.
So it seems like that.
50 million euro. I mean, maybe it's a future deal like that, but it feels a little haphazard all over the place. But it's more so, does he have a successful loan? Like, because we've seen loans that have been really productive, like the Ahmad to Sunderland, and then Wheatley, striker. I think he got 4 games last season on loan. So it's very much hit or miss for youngsters and how their loan works out. Maybe some of that's on them.
But he felt like he was about to break into the bench. Like, I felt like as we finished last season, he probably should have been a bench player, and Lyon came in, and then now he's out on loan, and it's tough because it takes a lot of work for him to almost be knocking on the door and then to just move off of him. It's not gonna.
It's more the Chelsea approach, which you just buy a bunch of players, see who rises at the top, and sell off the rest. I mean,
I rate him.
He looks like a future Luke Shaw. He has this little unit of a body.
Exactly.
Like, he's very good technically, and I think he'll be a very good player. I'm not ready to write him off because also, like,
I'm not
Alvarez,
writing him off. I'm just saying United's not.
I don't think United should write him off. I didn't say you. I was like, Alvarez felt like a player that wouldn't be ready for the Premier League until he's like 23, 24. Amass feels like he will be well suited for the Premier League's physicality just because English, built for it. He came out of the top academy as well, so one to watch. But hopefully, this is Johnny Evans. He's the head of loans now. He's got to land it somewhere good.
Look, that is our transfer update. Lots going on ever since preseason kicked off. Ineos woke up and we're doing deals. We had Mbuemo. Here we go. Medical shortly after. Rashford. Lots of rumors around strikers. Who are we going to get? Youngsters going on loan. Lots of things happening on tour, and then we're out to West Ham on Saturday. But before we get to that, we had an amazing interview with Good Vibes John, legendary Manchester United fan. Alex, you call me Bad Vibes John. You swapped me out for Good Vibes John for a great interview. We're going to jump into that interview, and we'll catch you on the other side.
We are here with the legendary Manchester United fan at Good Vibes John. John, it's great to have you on. So after that Europa League final and the start to this summer transfer window, we at the American Red Devils could certainly use some good vibes. How are you doing? How's your summer going?
First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. I think legend is a little too much if I'm being completely honest. But I just want to say thank you for having me. Lots of people have been asking me for good vibes, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's been not so easy to be spreading good vibes. Let's face the reality. I mean, finishing the way we finished last season, and of course the almost silence of this transfer window has made it quite hard, simply because Manchester United fans are desperate. Manchester United fans are looking for something. They're looking for something to cheer about. They're looking for something to be excited about. And it's taking some time for the club to bring that to us. Obviously, Matheus Cunha has joined us, but if we finished, what do we finish? I can't even remember, 17th or whatever the finish it was last season. For us to be able to recover from that, we're going to need more reinforcements than just the Matheus Cunha. So I think United fans are quite desperate and dare I say frustrated to a certain degree. The only I don't necessarily want to say good vibes, but the only thing that I can say is that I would like to think that Manchester United are working hard behind the scenes, simply because I use this analogy of cleaning the poop. It's really easy to poop on your carpet, but it's so hard to clean and scrub that stain off. You know, it's so easy to ruin your credit score, but it's so hard to build that credit back. You know, and I think Manchester United over the past decade or so, with respect to our transfer strategy, it's not been so great. And I think with this new leadership under the under the organization of Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox, I think they are trying to repair that, which is why I'd like to think it's taking so long, because we don't want to bend over. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to say bend over, but
Say
we're not. We don't want to be in a position where we're constantly saying, "Oh, it's only extra 5 mil or extra 10 mil." You know, we'll give him that. We'll give him that. Because by then, or rather, that's been our sort of energy. It's like, hey, we have money in our wallet. Let's give them the extra 5. Let's give them the extra 10. And here we are, having overspent, having spent recklessly, having spent, you know, not so wisely. And this is the position that we find ourselves in. And I think they're trying to repair that, which is why it's taking a little bit longer. I'm more so in the mindset that I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I can completely understand the frustration of the fans.
Well, there's certainly a lot of shit on that Manchester United carpet. You can curse away. This is the American Devils. We allow anything. And it was such a season. You never remember the play. We finished in 15th, even though it doesn't feel like that at times. But, you know, now that you have had time to digest, how are you feeling about last season? Like, what in your mind went wrong? And that's probably a long list of things that went wrong, given the season that we just finished.
I'm going to be honest with you. I tried to erase that out of my memories, but if I can recollect those memories and think about last season, then one of the things that I think that maybe should have been avoided or could have been avoided was perhaps bringing in Ruben Amorim a bit earlier. So from what we could tell, the idea of having Ruben Amorim as the next manager was clearly in the works by the Manchester United hierarchy. But obviously following the highs of that final with Erik ten Hag, lots of people were sort of torn and split in terms of where they wanted to be. And I myself included was riding on that high and said, hey, let's give Erik ten Hag another chance. But if we were clearly sure that this was not the man to go forward, especially when those reports about the dressing room having completely been lost and sort of, you know, beyond salvageable conditions, then I think you would have had to make that executive decision and move on. I use the comparison of Ange Postecoglou at Spurs, you know, and I'm not saying that they are the reference model, but you know, when we're looking at the finish that they placed, they only finished 2 positions higher, or wherever it was, and for them to have made that executive decision, I think Manchester United probably should have been in that position. But again, hindsight is 2020. I don't really, you know, blame them all that too much for that error, because again, we were all in that high, and perhaps they thought, hey, maybe we can take this opportunity to fix them, to amend those sort of broken relationships or whatnot. So they took that chance, and unfortunately, it kind of sucked in the highest of, in the biggest of ways, because it was a rolling snowball, really, off the top of the mountain. One problem became another, and another problem became another, and that minor problem became a major problem, and the major problem became an even more major problem. And I think that's kind of what was dumped onto Ruben Amorim in the middle of November. I mean, the vibes were absolutely immaculate when he pulled up at Old Trafford with that tracksuit, and he looked like an absolute stud, and he looked sharp, and I was like, let's go. But everybody knew that it was going to be much more difficult, and he even said it himself. And he knew that, you know, the storm was coming, and he used that reference, and man, that storm hit hard. I think the biggest problem, to answer your question, to sort of wrap it all up, is that it was really mostly the pressures really getting to everybody. I think that's really what kind of is at the forefront, or at the main crux of it all, is that the pressure just got to every single person, and it was so tough to come back from all of that.
No, absolutely. And speaking of vibe, I mean, Ruben Amorim certainly had it in abundance when he entered Old Trafford in November. What is your impression of the man? Tell us, you know, do you have faith in his system, given everything we've seen, I guess, over the last 8 months?
I actually am not. Just full disclosure. I've spoken about this many times on my platforms, and whenever I've been asked about this, I am not the biggest fan of 3 at the back, but I'm more than welcome to try things. I'm not somebody that's completely like, oh no, I'm like hell bent on one specific anything. I'm very flexible in that regard. But when it comes to systems, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of 3 at the back, but I've seen what he's done with Sporting, and I really feel like there could be an opportunity for him to build on that. Doesn't exactly translate like for like. Of course, he has to make some tweaks and adjustments, but with respect to his setup, I think that could be things that he can improve on. like everybody else in the world. Yeah, of course. I think especially with respect to the new personnel he's going to bring in, there's definitely going to be opportunities for him to grow in that sense. But in terms of my thoughts on Ruben Amorim, I think he is the right man, and I say this because he's I think one of them. If I had to pick one word to describe him, I'd say refreshing. You know, I think United fans were so tired of it all, and I think they were looking for transparency. I think United fans were looking for honesty. You know, we're tired of the media trained answers. We're tired of all the, you know, these things that, you know, we kind of know it's something that we've been, you know, thrown around really. And Ruben Amorim showed up and he's just being completely blunt and completely honest. I actually think personally now, I think he's gotten a little too much. I think there's still an element where he needs to tone it down just a little bit, because at the end of the day, you do represent one of the biggest football clubs in the world. You can be honest, but, you know, you still got to kind of, you know, tone it just a little bit, you know, color it a little bit, you know, package just a bit. And I think fans are also realizing that as well. They're like, whoa, I knew he was going to be honest, but damn, this is a little too much, you know? And I think that was what last season was about. But in all, I think Ruben Amorim's honesty and his blunt assessment of a lot of things, that he earns my respect 100%.
He's certainly a straight shooter. I think that honesty might have hurt certain players and rubbed them the wrong way. But moving on, you know, what's your impression of how the transfer window is going thus far?
I probably rambled on a little too much in the beginning, but just to go back to the point about the transfer and the strategy, I think that needs to be repaired because, like I said before, it's just taken this long under the leadership of Ed Woodward, and maybe even if you want to include the whole John Murtaugh, Richard Arnold, the leadership, you know, there are certain things that we could have got. There's certain things we did get right, but there's a lot of things that maybe we did get wrong. And the transfer strategy clearly needed to change. I can't even tell you how many people in my comment section are constantly DMing, writing in the comments, or even DMing me saying, John, why is it taking so long? And I understand. Like I said before, I completely understand the frustration. I myself am frustrated to a degree, but I'm a lot more patient in that respect, because I guess this is where my good vibes come in, because I know how hard it is to fix things. I used the reference before, the repairing the credit score, cleaning the stain off the poop off the carpet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much easier to, you know, it's easier to ruin things than to repair them. You know, it's easier to spend money than to save money. You know, it's easier to poop on the carpet than to clean the poop. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that now we're working hard to clean that, and we're in the midst of cleaning it while we're having to recover from our worst finish in the Premier League. So it's a lot. And I don't want to add on to that pressure. So many people have DM'd me. They're like, "Hey, mate, you're delusional." But yeah, look, I get it. If you feel like I'm delusional, that's completely fine. But I just feel like there's just so much that they need to work on, which is why it's taking longer. And if it takes longer, then so be it. I'm okay with it. I feel, and maybe I also feel that way because I still believe that the likes of somebody like Bryan and Mbeumo will definitely join. Maybe that's why I still feel rather optimistic. Maybe it might have been a completely different circumstance if I completely felt like Bryan and Mbeumo was not going to happen and I was sitting here like, oh, shoot. Then I'd be like, hurry up, hurry up. But maybe it's that confidence that I think that the deal will get done, which is why I'm still so patient with respect to this situation.
Yeah, one thing we say on the pod is you can't evaluate a transfer window halfway through, right? They still have almost at the halfway point, I think, within a day. And there's a whole second half of the window to get things together. You are the legendary United fan at GoodVibesJohn. John, can you just let folks know where they can find more of your content and how they can connect with you moving forward?
Yeah, sure. You guys can find me. I spend most of my time now on Instagram at GoodVibesJohn. I'm usually just, I'm literally on there just telling fans it's going to be okay, really. So if you need a little bit of that, John, come comfort me. You know, I'll give you a little pat in the back. I'm going to be like, yo, it's all right. It's going to be all right. Don't worry.
We call that pod therapy. So, John, we really appreciate it.
Great interview from Good Vibes. John, appreciate him coming on the podcast. Top American Red Devil out in NYC. We need those good vibes. I feel like the good vibes that John brought to the pod are now kicking on in the transfer window, and hopefully will for next season.
Tell you what, it's like a cup of hot chocolate on the podcast, just making me feel better. Put a blanket around me, telling me everything's gonna be all right, Dad. Everything's gonna be all right, son. You know, it's like we're gonna turn it around. So appreciate Good Vibe John coming on the pod, and we need a little bit of those good vibes. I think it was funny. Even we did the interview beginning of last week. We hadn't gotten Mbuemo in. We hadn't gotten Rashford out. Hadn't seen the lads play a preseason game match yet either. So I'm starting to feel a little bit more optimistic. Maybe we can finish in the top half of the table. And thanks for having on the pod, Good Vibe Johns. What else? Sir, fan questions. The best fans in the world, American Red Devils. Couldn't do without them. Thanks for showing up for our live stream yesterday. It was a blast. Wasn't that fun? We got to keep doing that.
No, live streams are great. You get to see us in the electric chair. At @_Cole18, Garnacho and Cash for Watkins, Sancho and Cash for Sesko, Tom Heaton over Nana, Rashford off the books. We're overloaded with players and quality in certain areas of the pitch. Center back 10 and embarrassingly thin in others. CDM striker goalkeeper. Until that's balanced, playing Amorim's system will be hard. It will be. I think we saw it against Leeds. It's preseason. We're talking about practice, but you looked at the midfield. Coyer playing 10, switching that mid of the first half. Couldn't deal with the press. It was the same pattern that we've seen against every bottom half team that's come to Old Trafford. I feel like that movie is not going to end until we sign a 6 who can really own that phase of play, and we don't have them right now.
No, there's a lot of priorities, and the squad has become a little bit of a patchwork where we're strong in a way that all of a sudden we're especially in this system, we have 10s coming out of our ears. Center backs feels like a solid position where it hasn't been for a long, long time.
Like very solid.
Yeah, very solid. We have actually does Martinez get back on the squad right away, given how well some of all those youngsters would grab onto the spot? And at the same time, we have one striker, and he was completely out of form last year, scored 44 fucking goals in over 30 matches. So United needs to get it together, and I think this is why it's so dependent on getting these sales out. So, and being creative. Get the sales out, find a ways to do deals. Watkins, if the way comes to us because of they need to do a deal and we need to do a deal, sometimes those are when really good deals happen. So Ineos have the work cut out from them. They've picked up the tempo in the last week. I think fucking Ratcliffe turned the screws on them in Iceland and said, I can put you on a fjord over there and you can drift down to the ocean if you don't get some of these deals done. So they need a big second half of the transfer window, and hopefully they deliver, because that will make it much easier for Ruben Amorim to survive this season.
Yeah, but it's all about communicado and working together. And per your tweet here at @_Cole18, we are way overloaded in different areas of the pitch. And this imbalance in the squad didn't start this season. It's been carried forward for the last 5 to 6 seasons where, we didn't sign the additional striker that we really needed last year, right? That turns into needing another striker this year, because I would rate Xerxes as a 10. And then now we're looking, no one's even talking about Xerxes at all, or that the fact he's even a striker, or that's a whole different conversation of the front office making that move that didn't really make any sense. And here we are today, but it's going to be a lot of communicado between Amorim and what he's seeing in preseason. And then hopefully that moves the needle on what we're actually going to get. But Kobe Mainu coming in at 6, that's not an accident. But Bruno and Mainu into 2 is not going to be enough. And I also feel like the false hope that Casemiro is going to run it back this whole season. It's like we're going to get.
He's a coach. He's a player coach on $20 million a year this spring.
No, here's what all the lower table teams has figured out: get young, get fast, high energy, high press. That's how they're going to play.
Physical.
And United struggle with that. Yep. And if you have a Casemiro getting overrun in midfield against shit teams, you're going to have a shit time. And Amorim needs to figure that out. And however we have players, we can do it. At Tora Discora, will Amorim's system ever break out offensively? A 4-0 win would do a lot to inspire confidence.
I think we need to get that striker. I think that is really the missing piece in terms of just scoring goals, especially with a player like Mbeumo coming in. He had the highest number of expected assists, highest number of crosses. If you have an out of form Rastoyland, you're going to squander those chances like we did last season with the number 1 chance creator in the league. So I think we need a killer number 9. Ollie Watkins, it's not glamorous, but he would be effective. I think he would plug in and I think he could score 20 goals next season with this team around him. So I think that is going to be a big part of it. And I feel like the United's still trying to just come into grips to how to play this system. Like you said, if you can't play on the back, can you play a 3 at the back? Because it's just, we've seen if you can't do that, unless we could turn the ball over. When we turn the ball over, I feel like the United is effective at getting the ball into the box quickly and creating chances, but it doesn't seem like we ever created organically from goalie on. I don't know. From what I've seen thus far in the last 9 months.
Yeah, so I do think we will break out offensively. If you recall, you have to, I'm not excuse factoring for Amorim, but we did loan out 3 attackers and then sign nobody, basically. So Amorim has had 0 options, and Cunha and Mbuemo plus a striker, I'm confident we will get somebody in. It might be DCL, but we'll get somebody in. And with those combinations, we will score more goals. But if you recall, when we were breaking down preseason last season, we said, where are the goals going to come from? And they were not there. This year, we will have goals. The question is, can we not get overrun in midfield? Like, that's really the question to me, is just, if you watch the Leeds game, the space in midfield that we left wide open, because you have Bruno in the 2, he's pushing up, we get cut out from behind. And then it just, like, we struggle in those situations and those transitions. And no matter who you got out there, when you get caught in transition, you can get got by lower opposition's sides. And we luckily didn't get got yesterday, but it's just one of those things where the organization, the confidence, and the spaces that we leave behind are really what concerns me in the middle of the field. I feel like you can look at Spain with Rodri, you can look at City with and without Rodri. It takes that type of player to play that type of way. And when we don't have that type of player and we kind of go gung-ho like Amorim wants to, you can get got. And we saw that a lot, and we will probably continue to see that, and Amorim not change. That's kind of my view versus us inventing a Rodri. Next tweet here, at Grifter10. Sirs, it was great hanging out with you on the live stream. Appreciate you, Grifter, for showing up. If we get more live streams, then this season is already a win. As for the game, it was the first preseason one, and it looked like it. Nice to see the new guys looking good. Look, it's just fun. It's light.
It's gonna be back.
Preseason's light. Live streams are fun. They make the games more enjoyable. Alex and I always banter like that all the time. Please join the live streams. They're on our YouTube channel, America Red Devils on YouTube. If you're listening, iTunes and Spotify. We have been going live more for matches as well as transfer news. So you get extra content on our YouTube. Please go there, like and subscribe. It helps the channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button, hit subscribe. Helps us grow and gets other Muppets to find our content, which, you know, is helpful.
And we're just getting going. There's a big season ahead. America Red Devils going to be bringing you more live content, live streaming the matches. Hopefully, United rewards us, because I think
like getting a live win would be
like
great.
A win, a goal. How about a goal? I'll take a goal. After last season, 40 goals. We only scored 40 goals, something like that in the Premier League season. I need some goals.
It's like now we went from pod therapy to live stream therapy.
It's all in the open. Kimono's open, bro.
It's all in the open. But appreciate you, Grifter. We'll be doing the West Ham match, 4 p.m. Pacific, live stream Saturday. Let's go. At Rolling the Deep 1995, the scoreless draw against Leeds in practice had some promise, but some issues are so obvious. It's crazy. Crossing, finishing, physicality. Happy to see the Mbeumo news, and hilariously to see Rashi twerk his way into Barcelona.
Incredible.
But out of curiosity, who plays at left wing? It's a 10 now. Technically, we
Cunha.
call it a 10. It's Cunha. And by the way,
he can play it.
He's
a player. You immediately know. You immediately know he's a player.
By the way, I already know him and Mbuemo are already players. Like that's
they're already going to be the two of the three best players we have.
Both of them
two with Bruno.
Both of them will be. They'll be on, and I think they will be on or surpass Bruno's level, and it's because they have what Bruno has, but they don't have that the Wingen thing that Bruno has.
Cunha's got a little bit of that. Don't worry. He's got a little bit of that.
No, Cunha's got a little more edge. You know, he's
got more edge. He definitely has like he'll have
Bruno's
some
got the lowest
red cards.
Cunha will like punch somebody. That's what I mean.
I think the three of those players playing together with a killer number 9, this team could all of a sudden be scoring some real goals. So I'm excited. I think they bring the personality we need.
But Bruno's always needed. So we always said that. Why do you have Bruno Fernandes on this team if he's got nobody to pass to?
And now he does.
That's so like I do understand how Bruno gets so frustrated when he gets Wingen and he's up frustrated because he's passing to like Højlund and stuff, and he's going to be passing to Cunha, who's then going to be getting it back to him and scoring goals. And so dogs feed dogs, dogs eat. Everybody's going to eat in this team, and we got to figure out how to get the ball out of the back to the midfield and to the dogs, and we will eat at Manchester United, and that is the biggest problem. We're going to be watching it all preseason. Thank you for everybody who watched the podcast. That is it. That is the America Red Devils podcast. You want to support us, check out our newsletter. We just got this going. We drop the top 5 weekly Manchester United stories to your inbox every week. It's a great way to connect with the best community. All you got to do, go to AmericanRedDevils.com/newsletter, name, email address, sign up. You get all the news into your inbox. It's easy as you like. Also check out our store, AmericanDevils.store. Scarves, hats, merch, everything you purchase supports us. You can also check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/AmericaRedDevils. Behind the scenes episodes, top Muppets out there. Also our Discord channel is amazing. Link in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. It's also pinned on our Twitter profile if you are listening on iTunes and Spotify. Support the pod. We need it. It's been a rough run covering all this great news this summer. Preseason started. Getting pumped for next season.
Cannot wait. We appreciate all the American Devils backing us all day long. You guys are the best, and the season is right around the corner. We're excited. America Tour, like you said, we're going to be back next Saturday for the live stream of the game against the Hammers in Chicago. That should be a riot. And then the full season's coming around just around the corner. Just under a month from now, we'll be playing Arsenal at Old Trafford. First game of the season. Cannot wait. Pick up your Glazers Out scarf. They're still hanging around the hoop, and we need to keep the American Red Devils going. Don't forget to like and subscribe on our YouTube. Check out our Patreon. There's huge benefits. You can only find out by becoming a Patreon member, so check it out.
Don't ask what the Muppet Take can do for you. Ask what you can do for the Muppet Take, sir. Give us our top downloads last 7 days.
Number one, how you doing? How you doing? Chicago, there you go. Chicago, Illinois, Los Angeles, California, Dublin, Ireland, Oslo, Norway, Charlotte, North Carolina, Portland, Oregon, Brooklyn, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, New York, and Orlando, Florida. So they must know what they're doing because every one of our top 3 locations for the tour is featured in our top 10 American Red Devil cities. So we appreciate all the American Red Devil listeners week in, week out. Couldn't do without you. Good times ahead. We'll be with you every step of the way. We are the American Red Devils. So we're just enjoying the ride.
Hey, everybody have a great week. We're going to leave you with a great Manchester United song, West Ham, that Hammers USA tour. Let's go.